It's 12 noon on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headline.
Hey, there she is.
Hello there.
Jen Farris, welcome to Lenox. Welcome to the Reprint by Lenox and Parker. That was a quick little clip of Jen's intro to her new travelogue series, Yo, Did You Know? And before we even get into the series, I want you to, kind of explain. I was telling people a little bit about what you've been able to do for not just Atlanta, but a lot of the smaller counties and communities within Atlanta by working as a location scout. I had no idea until our interview, and I've known you for years, but knowing what you've been able to do, on a commute, just to be able to touch these communities and bring attention to them and breathe life back into them. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, the state of Georgia got the tax incentive, and in 2010, I started location scouting, moonlighting. A lady named Karen Mason introduced me to the phrase or title location scout. I had never even heard of that because it's so behind the scenes. But Fulton County, because of Hartsfield Airport, received quite a bit of filming early on because the airport is here. And so the 13 cities in Fulton and the cities surrounding Fulton County's 13 cities reap the benefits of a lot of the filming in this area. And what it does, location scouts, for those who don't know, are people who identify in a script a place, a physical place where characters perform their lines that is away from a soundstage. It's on location. It could be a street, it could be a driveway, it could be an alley, it could be a house, any township, whatever it is, where the characters are seen. We're the backdrop. And most people don't pay attention to the backdrop unless it doesn't match. Which location scouts make sure they match. So you really aren't watching the location. You're acknowledging it, but it's just there, and it just makes sense to be there. And but it has financially been a beautiful thing for the economy in the state of Georgia, in the billions of dollars. Because when a film production comes into a marketplace, they pay for those locations as rental properties. They feed the vendors, the sign companies that you see on the side of the road, location managers and the teams, they lay those out. That's something that the Department of Locations makes sure that people know where to go, how to get to the location. And so the vendors, the map makers, the caterers, all those people that the caterers don't pay through locations, but on set food, it all kind of correlates. It's a domino effect in a positive way. And
absolutely, it
has brought so much wonderful attention to communities. And now even when I'm scouting, I'll get text on my phone, is that the High Museum? I'm looking at I'm looking at so-and-so TV show. I was wondering, is that the corner of Auburn Avenue? I'm like, listen, yes, you're good. You're paying attention now, know. So it's been really fun to watch people learn about locations and just be excited to be a part of this Georgia excitement that we've been a part of for so long.
That's just one of the things that makes you amazing, how passionate you are about really adding more to the community that you come from as a native ATLian. But I want to talk about this travelogue series because for so long I have heard people say that they don't see enough color in travel. And what I love about this series is that not only are you planting all of your ATLian talent in this series, but you're also not leaving, because we think travel, we think you have to go abroad, you have to go
Right.
overseas. But the fact that you're finding these beautiful gems full of culture and history right here
Oh,
in
thank you.
the city of Atlanta is amazing. Talk about the inspiration for Yo Did You Know?
Well, I'll say two things. The season 1 of Yo Did You Know, I have to give acknowledgement to the City of Atlanta's Cultural Affairs and the National
Okay.
Black Arts Festival, because they funded. I got a grant through the city who offers an annual fund for artists. If you're an artist or an arts organization, you can apply. And I did, and I was received a grant from them. And then the National Black Arts Festival had a supportive artist grant that helped to fund it even more. So like, thank you, Lord. But so Yo Did You Know has been in my head for 10 years. And I have to give a shout out to Clive Salmon and Carletta Hurt for helping me in birth this. I mean, they were there trying to pull it out of me. And I have to give another shout out to Jamari Priest and Keith Cunningham for pushing it out. Okay, they
Awesome.
went into labor with me. But Yo Did You Know started early on because exploration, going back to what you said, travel, we think as getting a flight or taking a train or driving in a long distance car ride. But in our 285, which is the metro around Atlanta, we're traveling all the time. And I know as a native Atlantan, people from Southwest Atlanta do not drive to Johns Creek every day because of the traffic. So it's a trip. If I go to Johns Creek, I want it to be there. Even though it's still Fulton County, 13 cities wide, you're traveling to these cities. And it's a short travel, but you're seeing things that you don't see every day. And as a location scout, because my scripts were pulling me in and out of the 285 metro all the time, I was seeing and outside of the metro, I'm seeing cities like Porterdale. I had never heard of Porterdale, and it's just right on the 20. You know, I had not realized the changes happening in Ackworth, Georgia, or down in Sonoy, where The Walking Dead just revitalized that community down there in Harrelson and Sonoy. So you're seeing things that you wouldn't drive past on a day-to-day. And I was discovering all this incredible history as I was unearthing just in the city of Atlanta. Things that I've driven past for more than 50 years. Well, I haven't driven past, but I've known of in my life for more than 50 years. And I'm thinking, I never knew that before. Like the first Black radio station in America was on Black owned, was on Auburn Avenue.
Nice.
Like,
Wow.
why didn't I know that? You know, but it's just one of those things that as I'm unearthing this history, and there's more that I didn't unearth in season 1 that I am very excited to bring to life season 2, and construction and people and places that we see, but I call it hidden in plain sight. We drive by and don't even realize what we're driving past. And I wanted to bring that to life.
There's 2 stories that you have to share with this audience, because I'll be honest, I'm not a history person, right? I've never really gotten excited about history, but listening to talking to you when I interviewed you a couple of weeks ago, I just was excited because of, first of all, how passionate you are about it, and then because of the way you were able to paint a picture. And so I want you to share about the Aretha film and how we're looking for the church, and why churches at that time period didn't have the windows. Like, it's a fascinating story, and you have to share with
Yes. So there was a thing called white flight all over America, and definitely in the South. And I came onto a project called Genius. It's a series on Nat Geo. And the one I worked on was called Genius Aretha, that tells the history of Aretha Franklin. And in the story, she bonded with a minister on the West Coast who had a church. When I came to the storyline, the scripts are handed to location scouts, but then they'll tell us more. And the location manager, Caleb Henshaw, said, we're stuck on figuring out this church that this fella, as a matter of fact, she recorded the Amazing Grace. if you Google Amazing Grace Aretha Franklin, you'll see this blue church. But I never paid attention that it didn't have windows in it. And he said, it cannot have windows. We're going to replicate Amazing Grace. And I thought, a church with no windows, I'm thinking a mosque. Like, what pops in my head first? A mosque, masjids. What? And he said, no, a Christian church. And I thought, what Christian church doesn't have windows? I'm thinking, is it a shopping center? But this is back in the 70s. So those shopping centers would have still been open. So they weren't churches yet, you know? So I had to do some research, and I discovered that his church was a former movie theater. And I thought, why was he in a movie theater? Why? So I just started going deep down this rabbit hole and discovered it was that in white flight, when white communities transition to non-white communities, the movie theaters oftentimes closed. The owner shut them down, or whatever the case was. And Black people, because of the civil rights movement, they repurposed those into churches, because movie theaters can hold 200 plus people in them, and you can strategize civil rights in a building that holds a capacity larger than your regular church. So they were using these movie theaters as churches and places of strategy. And that's why it had no windows.
Wow.
It was all over the country this happened, but in the South, they were really, really using those movie theaters as chess for describing these chess pieces and moves they were about to make to create civil rights and voting registrations and all the things they were doing inside of those former movie theaters. So that became the Shrine of the Black Madonna in our story, became the church with no windows in the West End in Atlanta.
And I've seen that building, never realized. I just thought it's a weird building.
And you can see they've boarded up the box office, but you can see, if you really now drive by and look at the Shrine of Black Madonna, it is a movie theater.
Yeah.
The marquee is just, the doors are there, but the box offices are on the side. They're just covered up.
That story is interesting because I remember watching like Malcolm X movies and MLK movies and seeing, I'm like, why? I always wondered, why would they in such dark places like that, like look like an auditorium? But now that you say that, I'm like, well, it makes a lot of sense.
Theaters.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Now you have me curious, because I'm curious about a lot of things, and I'm one of those people that look it up.
Yeah.
You know?